All right, let's get right into one of Rome's most epic conflicts, the War for Dacia. This isn't just a story about a war. It's really about the collision of two worlds, centered on two of the most impressive leaders of their time. And this quote right here, it just sets the stage perfectly. I mean, think about it. For a Roman historian to say this about a so-called barbarian king, well, that's some serious respect. It tells you right away, this isn't some simple story of conquest. No, this is a clash of titans. So picture this. It's the late 1st century AD. The Roman Empire is, without a doubt, the superpower of the ancient world. But right on its northern border, along the Danube River, the kingdom of Dacia is getting stronger and becoming this constant nagging problem that Rome just can't afford to ignore anymore. And at the heart of this conflict are two incredible figures. On one side, you've got the brand new Roman emperor, Trajan. He's a career soldier, a brilliant general, and he has the full might of the legions at his back. His goal? To finally solve this Dacian problem. And on the other side, you have King Decebalus of Dacia. This guy is a master of guerrilla warfare, a brilliant tactician who united his people and was absolutely determined to keep them free, no matter the cost. And make no mistake, this was not some minor border dispute. Dacia was seriously wealthy, sitting on huge gold and iron mines. Its army was massive and, crucially, really well armed. And here's the kicker. Decebalus had already humiliated a Roman emperor in battle, forcing Rome into the unbelievably embarrassing position of paying Dacia a huge annual tribute, basically protection money, just to keep them from attacking. So, as you can imagine, an emperor like Trajan is not going to stand for that. He decides, enough is enough. The payments stop. The legions are mobilized, and in 101 AD, he leads his army across the Danube to kick off the first of two incredibly brutal wars. In this first round is just a total slugfest. Trajan manages to win a really costly victory at a place called Tepe. Then, Decebalus pulls this brilliant strategic move and tries to outflank him by attacking a Roman province, but he's eventually beaten back. The Roman war machine just grinds its way closer and closer to his capital, and Decebalus has no choice but to sue for peace. So Trajan gets his victory, but it's not a knockout punch. Decebalus was beaten, for sure, but he was not broken. He gets to stay on his throne, but the terms are humiliating. For a guy like him, you just knew this wasn't going to last. It was just a timeout. And yup, sure enough, Decebalus immediately starts rearming. He even uses the Roman engineers that were sent to help him as an ally to rebuild his forts. I mean, the nerve. This clear violation of the treaty is all the excuse Trajan needs. In 105 AD, he prepares for the knockout blow. And this time, Rome is not playing around. Their advance is just relentless. They build this massive, permanent stone bridge across the Danube, which is basically a giant statement saying, we're here to stay. They systematically crush the mountain fortresses, surround the capital, and then deliver the final blow with a classic Roman move. They find and cut off the city's water supply. Game over. So his capital is burning, his army's completely shattered. Decebalus manages to escape into the mountains, but he's being hunted relentlessly by Roman cavalry. Finally, they've got him cornered. There's nowhere left to run. So what does he do? What's his final choice? He chooses death. He chooses to die free rather than suffer the ultimate humiliation of being captured, dragged through the streets of Rome in chains, and paraded in Trajan's victory parade. It's this incredibly dramatic final act of defiance that's actually immortalized in stone on Trajan's column, a sign of the respect even his enemies had for him. And the war ends with this brutal, undeniable proof of victory. His head and hand are taken back to Rome and put on display for everyone to see. The message was clear. The kingdom of Dacia, as an independent power, was finished. It ceased to exist. So you have to ask, what did Rome get out of all this bloodshed? Well, the answer is pretty simple. An almost unbelievable amount of wealth. So much, in fact, that it would completely reshape the Roman economy. So, thanks to a traitor in Decebalus's inner circle, the Romans found his secret treasure hoard. And just look at this number. Over 165,000 kilograms of pure gold. That is an insane amount of money. And on top of that, a staggering 330,000 kilograms of silver. I mean, this one haul of treasure alone was enough to fund the entire empire for years to come. But the cash just kept on flowing. The new province of Dacia, with its rich mines now fully under Roman control, would pump 700 million denarii into the Roman economy every single year. So what does an emperor do with all that cash? Well, Trajan threw an epic 123-day-long party for the people of Rome and funded a massive building spree. But his most famous project was Trajan's Column. It's basically a 100-foot-tall marble comic book that tells his version of the war in stunning detail, making sure his victory would never, ever be forgotten. And this leads us to one of history's great ironies. Because for Rome, the story ends right there, with a defeated enemy. But for Decebalus, in a way, his story was just getting started. Fast forward almost 1,800 years. The people of modern-day Romania are trying to forge their own national identity, and they look back into their past. And who do they find? They rediscover Decebalus. But not as a defeated barbarian. They see him as a founding father, a hero of resistance. This quote just perfectly captures that radical shift in thinking. Here you have a 19th century politician basically saying Decebalus was a hero, a freedom fighter who stood up to an imperial power. The villain in Rome's story becomes the hero in Romania's. And today, he's immortalized in these huge monuments that are way bigger and more dramatic than anything the Romans built. His defiant face is literally carved into the landscape of the country that Rome conquered, a permanent symbol of national pride, staring right back across the river. Which leaves us with this one. Fascinating final thought. You know, they always say history is written by the victors. But is it? Or is history something that can be reclaimed, rewritten, and totally redefined by the generations that come after? Can a story of total defeat be turned into an epic of resistance? It's something to think about.